Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Arm Wrestling tonight. This is Hollywood Matt Connelly with the double biceps. It is in the contract a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. We are appearing on camera right now. We are going solo tonight. Dave Stockbridge is unavailable. He is a busy man. He has his own company as well as doing all the stuff with AWE. He is all over the place. So we will run our own show tonight. Terrence Offerman is here. He's saying hello. Hello to you, Terrence. One of the top arm wrestlers in the Southern Hemisphere. Terrence Offerman from South Africa has been involved in the sport for a very long time, and he is absolutely elite level. Great to see you in the chat there, Terrence. Hello to you. And we may have had a preview of an idea that you've been thinking about, that you possibly might be coming over to Australia to compete in the tournament in October with the Over the Top 2, I think it is. Over the Top 2 is the tournament that will be running down here, and Lock On Adair will be competing in that. I know you have your sights set on a match with Lock On at some point, which we would love to see, and maybe if all the stars aligned and you were able to get along down here for the tournament, we'd love to see you guys face off against each other. Abel Robertson is also in the chat. He's one of the SA Titans Arm Wrestling Club members, a young man who's doing great things in the sport of arm wrestling, and his technique and skill is improving every single week. And he's now added quite a nasty press to his technique I saw on Sunday just gone, which is very impressive. I still can't press for crap myself, so you've already mastered that way better than I have. So congratulations to you, Abel. The press, I don't know what it is. I guess everyone has a genetic predisposition to something, and this is what's kind of fun for me is when people come into the sport of arm wrestling, you get on the table with them, you're explaining the fundamentals of top rolling and hooking and pressing and all the rest of it. And I always say to someone, like, you will naturally gravitate towards one of these three techniques, and which one it is, I don't know. And you don't know at the moment yet either. It will come about in the next, say, 2 months. If you're consistently training, there will be something that you just feel natural, like maybe it's you want to pronate and you feel natural top rolling, or you just like, oh, I just want to turn in all the time. It will lead you to whatever your predispositioned technique that is ingrained in your abilities and your own specific physical makeup. So that's what makes it very, very entertaining, is when people come into the sport and it's like, well, this guy is quite tall, he's got a long arm, he's probably going to be really good at top rolling, and the guy just cannot sort of grasp the concept of top rolling, and he's like, I just want to go inside all the time. We'll do that, and then they build a very, very strong inside game. And maybe over time, over years, they might then eventually develop the outside, because they realize that they need to have all the weapons available to them in case of different opponents, different matchups, and all the rest of it. But there is certain things that people tend to naturally gravitate towards. And what's fun about that for me as an arm wrestler, as a fan of the sport and a fan of people coming into the sport and seeing their progression and seeing their growth, is seeing the little nuances that they add to their game. So if they do start heading in that top roll direction, maybe they want to go low hand top roll, and that's their thing, and they might do a certain little thing that no one else is really doing, and it's just very unique to them. Something like Bowen Quintano, who is very, very powerful in that low hand top roll position, as opposed to somebody who with that high hand top roll position. And that only comes about through the individual and finding where they feel comfortable, where they feel strong, and then developing that skill against their opponents and their training partners. So it's very fun to see that come about. And we were just talking about Abel a second ago, the young man that is part of the SA Titans club. And I love the fact that you've found the sport of arm wrestling and you're coming along consistently. You're wanting matches with everybody and anybody. I see you pulling from the moment that we start training till we're literally the last table that is still standing. You are usually on it. So you're obviously very, very big fan of the sport, which is a tremendous thing for us to see, that 16-year-olds in Australia the youth are starting to get involved in the sport, and that's what we want to see, because we want to see generational growth of arm wrestling across the board. We have a huge event coming up on Sunday, the 22nd of June, here in Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval as part of the Diamondback Fighting Championship. It's going to be two enormous matches between Mata Warangi Hetamoris and Brett Coots on the right hand, and Brett Coots is going for another match. He's taking on Lachlan Adair, the Oceanic champion, having secured that title by winning the over-the-top tournament. Was it last year, 2 years ago? Yeah, maybe. It was either last year or it was 2 years ago. I forget now. But huge, big event this Sunday. It's going to be massive. There is a pay-per-view which is available on the diamondbackfc.com. That is Diamondback FC's pay-per-view, but the arm wrestling will be included in that. So you wouldn't just be getting the arm wrestling, you would be getting the entire fight card as well. And I believe there's 10 fights on that card at this point. And the arm wrestling is part of that as well. If you're not keen on buying the pay-per-view, that's okay. If you just want to see the arm wrestling, the AWE stuff, you could wait until next Thursday. We'll be able to release it for you. We'll have it up on our channel and you can see the matches there. So we'll have a nice post-production. It'll look at high quality. It'll be in the octagon. It'll be in front of 1,000 MMA fans, and hopefully they'll really get behind our guys in the arm wrestling scene. And it is very hard not to get behind the guys that will be competing, because they are absolute monsters of men. And if you at any point thought that you would like to get into the sport of arm wrestling and then you would do really well at it, and then you see Mata Warangi come out and you're like, yeah, okay, if that's the level, maybe I'll stick to whatever I'm doing. Although there would still be some people in the crowd probably going, yeah, I reckon I could beat him. Yeah. It's like, oh, all right then. How much you want to put on it? Phil Woody is also in the chat here. Hello to Phil. Phil all the way from the UK. I believe it's the morning time over there at the moment. Usually the way I calculate the difference in time is I just reverse the PM to AM, and that seems to work out for the UK. But always great to see you in the chat there, my friend, and great to see you in person over in Ireland as well as part of the Arm Gods event. Arm Gods obviously putting on amazing events over in the UK, and they are doing tremendous stuff. They have a fantastic website you should check out, and I think it's only $5 a month, and that gives you access to everything in there, all their back catalog, all their upcoming events. They do a tremendous job on their side of things at armgods.com. Please go and check them out. Lewis Tonga is here. He's popped in from Facebook. He says, big comp in New Zealand tomorrow. The Auckland Champs, run by Fresh Meat Arm Wrestling Club. FM. A little double entendre on that FM there. Very nice. So big competition. New Zealand tomorrow. Are you sure you don't mean Saturday? It's Friday tomorrow. But if it is tomorrow, well, it's weird to run one on a Friday, but either way, if it's Friday or Saturday, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a big event, Fresh Meat Arm Wrestling Club in Auckland. So if you are around and you haven't heard of this, maybe jump onto the Fresh Meat Arm Wrestling Facebook page or look up Lewis or have a look around in your area. I'm sure that there will be information about the tournament that is taking place, and we hope that it runs well and that everyone has a good time there. Tournaments are always fun. There is a significant difference, isn't there, between tournament pulling and super match pulling. The main difference, obviously, is that in super match pulling, you only have one opponent, whereas a tournament, you don't know who your opponents are going to be. Or maybe sometimes you have an idea as to who's going to be entered into the draw, but it can be a varied mix of different people, and people might turn up that you didn't know were coming or whatever. And so it is a very different aspect to your arm wrestling success, I guess, on the day, depending on other factors. Whereas a super match is a bit more predictable, as in, you know who the opponent is, you've got a game plan specifically for that opponent, and you're going to have your techniques and everything that is trained specifically to combat that one person, as opposed to trying to cover all bases in a tournament. And the strategy that goes behind each method of event is quite interesting, because if you think, okay, well, I've got a super match here, it's first to 4, which means there's going to be a minimum four rounds. So I need to make sure that my energy is conserved in these areas. And if I feel like I'm gassing out here, I need to try to use that 1 minute recovery time. Whereas with the tournament, ideally you want to get through each round as fast as possible. And if you can flash pin your way through to the finals, I mean, that's the ideal situation. You can walk into the finals being very minimally taxed, as opposed to hopefully your opponent has been into quite a few different wars and they might be exhausted going into the event. Lewis has confirmed this. It is a public holiday in New Zealand tomorrow, so it is tomorrow for the Auckland Championship. So check that out. Fresh Meat Arm Wrestling Club. Have a look on Facebook. If you didn't know about it, then hopefully you can get along to the event. You've got some time. It's the night before, but you never know. Maybe it's sometimes better when you just turn up and just see how you go, as opposed to sort of worrying about it for a couple of weeks. I know with the acting work that I do, if I have an audition coming up, I always prefer to get it like on the day, and say I get the audition script at 10 in the morning and the audition's at 2 o'clock. I'm like, great, I've got 4 hours and I'm only worrying about that audition for 4 hours. And then once it's done, I can relax. But if I have an audition and it's in 2 weeks and I've got the script, I can't stop thinking about that stupid bloody script for 2 weeks straight. And it's such a relief when I can actually do the scene and then move on. Because, yeah, well, a little separate to arm wrestling, but it is one of those industries where you just do your best in your audition and then you just sort of forget about it, because you're more than likely not going to get a call back. And if you do, then it's like, oh, right. And then you got to try to remember what things you did in the audition, which may have been weeks prior. But anyway, Josh McDonald is in. He says there's a bicep there. Oh, look at that for the Illawarra Immortals from Josh McDonald. Great to see you up there. I haven't heard of your club before. So the clubs are popping up all over the place, which is tremendous to see. Are you in Queensland or Illawarra? Is that New South Wales? Whereabouts are you based with that club there, Josh? Because I know there's a ton of clubs up in Queensland. I think at last count we had almost 10. So maybe you're one of those. And it is tremendous to see that the sport is growing. Abel Robinson has a question. He says, "Do you think Brett or Lachlan will win?" This is this is a good question for me, and the great thing about this is I don't know. I don't have a winner. I literally can't pick a winner, because it's like they're both tremendous athletes. They're both incredibly strong. They both feel like they're hitting their prime and their peak. You've got very similar weight. I think Lachlan's sitting about 105 kilos. Brett's sitting at like 107. All the elements have come together for the ideal time to have a left arm super match. And both men are incredibly confident. Last night on the show, the prediction given was that Brett put himself as a 4-0 win, and Lachlan put himself as a 4-0 win. So, well, there you go. Who do I think is going to win? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. Either of them could win. And that's sort of the matches that are ideal when you don't know who's going to win. You know there's going to be ridiculously close, or that it's going to be a war, or there's going to be some fireworks that take place. And when you can't just obviously say, oh, yeah, this guy's going to win. And then when they do win, you go, eh. That's what I do. Eh. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be close. I don't know who's going to win. I can't pick a winner. Who has the edge? I don't know. There's a lot of unknown factors here. Lachlan's left arm we haven't seen for a couple of years. Brett did have an absolute war with Rickard Bornman to win the left-hand championship. But yeah, is that enough of a factor to say that he would be able to topple the strength of Lachlan Adair? I don't know. It's very, very tricky to say. But Josh McDonald has confirmed that Josh Barker is in his club, and he is in Wollongong. Oh, there you go. Fantastic. So it's New South Wales. There you go. Josh Barker's at the club. I thought he was at the Spartans, but I guess he sort of floats back and forth between the two. Maybe your club there, the Immortals, is closer for Josh, but or maybe they run the bigger matches and bigger events at the Spartans club. I'm not sure, but yes, great. As I said before, to see that there's growth in the sport of arm wrestling is all over the country. We're seeing clubs popping up all over the place, and big tournaments, and we've got a big event this Sunday for us, and then we've got other things planned throughout the year already, and we're seeing state tournaments being run, and we're seeing big cash prizes on offer and international opportunities, and we're hoping to get to the point where we can say that arm wrestling is what you do for a profession as a living, and you can earn an actual living by doing this sport, which we all love. That is our goal, and that is where we are pushing towards. And it is a lot of fun to be involved in this sport and see it improving and rapidly as well. The expansion in this sports timeline is just incredible. Abel Robinson says, it's very true. Both amazing athletes. Looking forward to seeing the match. What about Hermes and Levan? Well, that's an interesting question. I haven't even looked at East versus West stuff at all for this. I think it's this weekend. The only match I've looked at is the Ulrike Bornman and Wallace Dilly. And yeah, there's only so much time in the day, and my time is dedicated towards AWE stuff. And, you know, between all the social media stuff and the coordinating with athletes and talking about this and meetings and, you know, all of those little things, and even just getting the tables, getting them at the event, talking to the promoters there. And, you know, it does take up a lot of time. So I haven't been looking at other arm wrestling promotions very much at all, really, in the last little while. But Hermes and Levan, it'd be interesting if they are pulling this weekend. I'm guessing that they are. It's obviously a rematch from the match that they had previously, which was a win for Levan. It was, I think they classed it as a 4-2 because Levan was not able to continue after the fourth round. And that is the infamous oxygen mask match where Levan was so exhausted. They ended up putting him on oxygen to help him with his recovery. But it was a frustrating match for me to watch. That first one, and this was one of those things that I really wanted to put in our rule set, in the AWE rule set, to avoid this specific instance, and that is where in that match Levan would win the center, he would roll 3/4 of the way down towards the pin pad, Hermes would lose his wrist and he would be compromised, but he would get a stop about 3/4 of the way down. And he was putting so much energy into getting that stop. He would get the stop, then he would bring his shoulder around and he would start to move Levan back. And at that point, Levan would lift his elbow and get a restart. It just felt so frustrating. It was like it was the rule set that they had laid out. I don't have any animosity or any bad vibes towards Levan for using the rule set to his advantage, but I think that needs to be addressed. I just don't think that is a very good way to have your competition, where somebody gets cheated out of a win in a way where they've put in so much energy and effort to get the stop. They're about to start their counter offense and their opponent just can instantly lift their elbow and get a restart. It just doesn't seem right. So that's why we've made the change in our rule set that you can't do that. I'm trying to read that first name. Sarah. So I can't say that word. Sarf. Fit Mind, I can say. I can't say your first name there. Says hi or hello to you. I'm sorry I can't say your name. It is a very difficult name to pronounce there. He says that you're India's best powerlifter with an 856 kilogram record. That is incredible. Great to see you in the chat here. I hope you get into the sport of arm wrestling. Awesome to see that you've jumped in the live here, and maybe you'll become a fan of the sport of arm wrestling. It is growing massively over in India with Pro Panja, and they do some tremendous events over there. We can't wait for season 2 to take place. I was over in Mumbai for a month last year in November, and New Delhi in February last year. So we know that there is a huge arm wrestling scene in India, probably astronomically big. And when Ryan Bowen and myself were lucky enough that people organized the Q&A thing, and they had to cap the event at 1,000 people because they didn't have enough room in the. That was surreal. That was just weird when you've got people lining up to meet you, shake your hand, take photos. It was like, I'm not even top. I'm like just top 10 in my club, you know. I'm like, Ryan's the guy you want. He's actually a good arm wrestler. Jaron Broad is in here. He says that Hermes is doing his 1 rep maxes from back. Then he's doing his 1 rep maxes from back. Then sets of 20 on a lot of lifts, but I would assume Levan has gotten a lot stronger as well. Yeah, we saw Levan get that wrist injury, but he's had matches since then where he absolutely trounced Jerry Cataret. It was sort of a bit of a disappointing match, that one. Just a whitewash, and unfortunately Jerry wasn't able to get his famous press in place, and Levan just had the perfect counter for it, and we just saw 4 roll over top rolls in a row. So that's how that match took place. But it will be interesting. Hermes is the man who has pushed Levan the hardest out of anybody, and it will be great to see him get another opportunity. Absolutely. Cobus Prinz is in here from South Africa. Great to see you. Hello to you, sir. I hope things are going well over there, and always great to see you in the chat. Good day, guys. There you go. Mr. Fitmind says, in the Asian, you have the Asian deadlift record, which is 357 kilos. Wow, it's absolutely incredible. And a squat of 390 kilos. That's insane. That is almost squatting a car on your back. Well done. Please get involved in the sport of arm wrestling. We have seen Eddie Hall and Brian Shaw jumping into the world of arm wrestling recently, and facing off against each other in a match, in an arm wrestling match. But Brian Shaw really taking it seriously and getting proper coaching. I've seen videos with him and Devin Larratt, and he's been really getting involved in the sport for quite a number of months now. I think Eddie sort of took it as a oh, this is an opportunity. Let me train for this for a couple of months, and then I'll put my mind into something else. I think he sort of does that a little bit across the board with his boxing, and then he'll get into this for a bit, and he'll do arm wrestling for a bit, and then he'll do something else for a bit. Whereas Brian, I think, is really wanting to make that transition into top level arm wrestling. And if anyone has that that power base, that strength behind them to tick that strength box straight off the bat, it's Brian Shaw. And once he learns all the ins and outs of fundamental movements and technique, and he gets his pronation really strong and his hook really strong, and he is the epitome of what you would want starting out as an arm wrestler. Mr. Fit Mind says that he is a hook player in arm wrestling. Oh, there you go. It doesn't surprise me. A lot of power and strength and bicep back in the hook there. So that makes a lot of sense. But I hope you do well in your arm wrestling endeavors, and we'd love to see you on the channel more often. So great that you're in here at the moment. Cobus is talking to Terrence here. Says, hi Terrence, what's your take on Rickard versus Wallace? And we'll see if Terrence is still in the chat. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. Sometimes he jumps right in at the start and then disappears. Sometimes he sticks around. But we'll be interested to see what Terrence does think of Rickard Bornman and Wallace Dilly on this weekend, as well as part of East versus West. We're very much hoping to see a great match for both guys, and the rising star of Rickard Bornman, who has taken the arm wrestling world by storm. This is his opportunity to really push himself and say, hey, I belong here on the world stage. So all well wishes towards Rickard, and also to Wallace as well, because we want to see a great match, and we'd love to see a war between the two of them. That's always fun for everybody. So that's coming up this weekend as well. It's going to be a big weekend for arm wrestling, and that's what's fun about it as well. I mean, there's only 52 weekends a year, but we seem to be filling in most of them now with big arm wrestling events. I know in North America, they have an events calendar, which I've had to go to a few times to see, are we going to clash with a certain event? every single weekend of the year, there is a tournament on in America somewhere, which is incredible to see. Mr. Fitmine says, do you know Larry Wheels? Yes, absolutely. Larry Wheels being one of the most well-known YouTube athletes out there. And he came to Australia, it was either last year or the year before, for the Over the Top tournament. And yeah, I got the opportunity to meet him. Lovely guy, very soft hands, which is a little strange. It was probably the softest hands out of anybody I've ever met. And of all people, you would think, this guy lifts weights all day. You know, he's incredibly strong. He's doing arm wrestling, and it was like putting my hand into a cloud. It confused me. Like I forgot what I was saying when I shook his hand. So I was like, "Hey, Larry, nice to meet you." My next sentence disappeared, and I was like, so yes, Larry Wheels, absolutely. If you are emulating Larry Wills, you are doing a good thing, because he is a tremendous athlete. And even though he didn't have huge success in the arm wrestling world, I think that was by and part of the level that he wanted to start himself off at. And he didn't take any easy matches. He started with Schoolboy, which was, you know, I mean, Schoolboy's a world champion. And if you're going to jump on the table with the world champion as your first match, wow, what an incredible effort from Larry Wheels. I do have a lot of respect for Larry. I think his marketing strategy, I think that his ability to do things which are really interesting, and even, you know, he recognized that a loss for him wasn't going to be a loss, because the unique ability from the marketing side of thing of Schoolboy, you know, he a tall guy wearing glasses, Mickey Mouse shirt, has the backpack. At that point, he wasn't the, you know, behemoth that he is now, but it just looked like such a comical matchup. You know, you had Mr. Olympia of Larry Wheels on one side, and then he's facing off against, in theory, a skinny schoolboy kid. And of course, the storyline is the skinny schoolboy kid ends up winning, and winning comfortably, which was such a clever thing for Larry to do that. And I think that really does go to show that he isn't afraid to step up and put his reputation on the line and say, look, I'm going to take the best opportunities I can. I'll take the best opponents that I possibly can, because you know, this is something new for me. But I don't want to just crush like 30 dudes that, you know, are way beneath me just to make myself look good. I'll start me off with the world champion. That's where I want to start. All kudos to you. Oh, I did a similar thing, Larry. I started with Devin Larratt, but I didn't win either. And it wasn't a super match, and it was just a seminar that he was putting on. But it was fun. It was great to meet him. Cobus Prinz says, have you seen the pre-interview with Rickard and Ryan Bowen? Rickard seems ready for this. This East versus West event is probably the biggest card ever because of Levan and Devin. Yeah, well, I think it's in the United States this time. So I think they wanted to bring their biggest athletes, biggest and well-known athletes, to put on a big show in the United States, and really trying to get the United States arm wrestling fans on board with their events, and to know that if they're going to come to their event, they're going to see the best guys in the world. And kudos to them for doing that. It's a good move. Is this the first time we've seen Levan travel, though? I can't remember. Ooh. Anyway, but because they did one previously in America, but I can't remember if Levan was on that one. Anyway, doesn't matter. We also have an event on AWE. June 22nd. It's going to be an enormous night with two huge matches between Lachlan Adair and Brett Coots for the left arm Oceanic title, and Mata Waringi Hetamoris versus Brett Coots again for the right hand match as well for the Intercontinental belt. So if Brett Coots manages to win both of these matches, he will walk away as a triple belt holder. He'll have one on each shoulder, one around the waist, and we'll be very, very proud to see if he is able to pull that off. That will be a historic moment. And at that point, it's pretty hard to argue against you being the man. Yeah. Yeah, okay. You're with 3 belts. All right, yeah, okay. You're good enough. So It is a lot of fun. Diamondbackfc.com is where the tickets, if you are in Adelaide and you want to attend the event, you can do that in person. Uh, diamondbackfc.com is where you will find the link to be able to purchase the tickets. There is also a link if you want to watch the pay-per-view for the event. Now, keep in mind that the AWE is only putting on 2 matches and it is part of the MMA card. We are partnering with Diamondback Fighting Championship, thankfully, to Craig Ike and Greg Hearn, who are tremendous guys, and they run the Diamondback Championship very nicely, and they have been doing incredible things in the MMA world, and they've been kind enough to let us partner with them, and we have jumped in to put on these 2 matches. So if you are keen to see them live on pay-per-view, you can do that at diamondbackfc.com. You will get the entire fight card as well as the arm wrestling. If you don't want to buy the pay-per-view or a ticket in person, you don't have to do either of those. Just wait till next Thursday. We will release the matches on our YouTube channel for you to enjoy that. We'll have a nice post-produced package that you will see every angle in the most entertaining way possible. So very excited. We can't wait. It's going to be huge, huge event on Sunday. Cobus says June 22nd is going to be awesome. He's rooting for Brett. His signed AWE shirt is going up in our club tonight. There you go. Fantastic. Yeah, that's such a nice thing. I know that it would mean a lot to Brett as well, that people, are supporters of his, that they want to see him do well, and that they are, such fans that they actually have framed a shirt that he signed, and they're big supporters. It would make a big difference as an athlete. Yeah. I was just thinking then when we went to India, myself and Ryan Bowen, and he was going over for a match with Masahir Saidu, and I had a match with Abbas Rana. And my match was sort of an afterthought because I was going to film the event and going to support Ryan and all the rest. They said, well, if you're coming over anyway, why don't we just get you an opponent? We'll have a match. All right, fine, no worries, that's cool. And then they said, here, Abbas Rana, great, no worries, it was all sorted. But I know that everybody's there to see Ryan. No one's there to see me. But it was so strange walking into that arena, and there was 1,000 fans there, and they were really into it. And they had huge, big billboard posters of all of our faces, like all 4 of us, Abbas, Mazahir, Ryan, and then me. It was like, that's me. This is weird. It was very strange. Very, very cool. Yeah, that imposter syndrome, that was it for me then. It was just like, are you sure you want a photo with me? Like, what, really? But yeah, very cool. And I know that Brett would have that feeling as well, that he's very excited that people are fans of his and they want to see him do well. So great to see that, Cobus. And that brings us pretty much to the end here, ladies and gentlemen. It's been awesome to jump on and just be able to have a quick chat with everybody for a solo event here. Mr. Fitmind says, let's talk about Levan and me. Well, Levan is undefeated at the elite level. I get beaten by people in my local club. If you're wondering how that match would go, I could use both my arms and my legs and 3 other people, and I would still get beaten. So, yeah, I think Levan is going to be the champ for a very long time. But thank you for your confidence. All right, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. June 22nd is the AW event. Keep an eye out. We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll have a conference with the athletes involved. We're hoping to get all 3 of them on the channel at the same time, and it will be a lot of fun. So we will hope to see you then, or finish with another double bicep for you, ladies and gentlemen, just to finish it off. Oh, there we go. All right. Have a good evening.